Back in 2016, when we began looking at the intersection, we started looking at the different patterns to determine what type of crashes are out there, which I'll show you the pattern in a second. But something that we have found that works very well as a solution to the type of crashes that are here is something called an offset left, which I'll explain more in a moment. Perhaps some of you all have seen them just on the north side of the bridge. I think it's called Lynnhaven Drive. We changed the left turns there a number of years ago because there were some site visibility issues. So when we started looking at the crashes in 2016, what we noticed here was that there were quite a few of the northbound left turns going into River Road that were being struck by southbound throughs. We also noticed that there is somewhat of a pattern here of crashes similar to the one that just occurred in December, that we saw the pictures from. And the danger of those type is that you're getting struck usually either in the driver's door or the passenger's door. So we want to be very careful when we're selecting an improvement that will fix those type of crashes. So what you're looking at here is a crash diagram between the beginning of 2013 and the end of 2018. So as we looked at each of the crash reports, we started reading through the reports to see if we could get a better idea of exactly what was causing those crashes rather than just looking at the arrows. And what you'll read here is in 8 of the 16 crashes that I had circled in green, that the drivers specifically said that there was an issue with their ability to see oncoming traffic. And in many of those, as you read in the first one, which I'll read to you, vehicle 1 did not see vehicle 2 due to another vehicle turning in the opposite direction. And that theory or that general concept repeats itself through the 8 that you see there. So we want to make sure that we target our solution to something that changes the ability of drivers to see oncoming traffic at the intersection. Now we have a very wide median here. The median is 40 feet wide, which has some real advantages, but it also has some drawbacks for vehicles that are turning left. So this is just a tabulation of what you just saw in the crash diagram, and that over that period of time there were 24 crashes here. And of those 24 crashes, 16 of those are of the type that would benefit from an offset left. So that means that 2/3 of the crashes will benefit from this specific type of solution. So let me show you what they are. The negative offset left here on the left side of the screen, that is what you see at most intersections, where when you pull up and you're going to turn left, the oncoming left turn traffic, the opposing left turn traffic, is actually sitting to your left, which means that if there's a queue of traffic in that left turn lane, you have difficulty seeing oncoming through traffic. The one in the center is what we implemented just north of the bridge, and that's no offset. We went from a negative offset to a no offset. But because of the road turning to the north, you can still see when you look north, even though there's no offset. And with the grade change at the bridge, you're able to see when you look south there. But the one here on the right, the positive offset, is what we would hope to implement at the intersection here at River Road. With that 40-foot median, it allows us to take that left turn lane and slide it quite a bit to the left, as well as the opposing left turn lane. And it changes your ability quite a bit as far as your ability to see oncoming traffic, and we'll see that in some of the graphics here in a second. So this is the existing condition on top. I'll try to step out of your way. And on the bottom is what's called the positive offset left. And you can see that the median is very wide here. And I've placed a few vehicles in the median there so you can see what we're talking about. Under the existing condition, this blue vehicle has to look past the green vehicle, as well as any trees that are further down, and the yellow vehicle in order to see. Now, if you're in a position where you've come from River Road and you've gone halfway across in the green car, you have to see through the blue car to see oncoming traffic. So that means the green car and the blue car have an issue being able to see. If we implement the offset left down here at the bottom, the vehicles are in exactly the same place, and you can see that the blue car here, that will be going northbound on Great Neck Road, does not have the view obscured whatsoever by the yellow car, nor does it by the green. And the driver of the green car who's gone halfway, who has to make a judgment, now can look easily south on Great Neck Road without any interference from the blue car whatsoever. Now the blue car has a couple more advantages. Not only can it see well, looking north on Great Neck Road, it can also turn behind the green vehicle while it's there. So you don't have that conflict while they're sitting. And when the blue vehicle goes to turn left here, instead of turning left from way out here and having a longer traverse distance and time, the distance and time is shortened so that the gap that they could accept would be shortened. It's much safer to travel that shorter distance. We have implemented this type of improvement in a couple other places, as well as Great Neck Road, which I just described, which was the non-offset. This one here is a positive offset on Dam Neck and Harper's, and it is very similar to what would be implemented on Great Neck because it also has a 40-foot median. So you're looking at something very similar. And what you'll notice here is that sitting here, the vehicle that's staged in the left turn lane is not an obstruction whatsoever. You will notice one towards the back end of the left turn lane is just dropping into the left turn lane. That's a temporary view obstruction there, but they're only going to be there for a second or so as they traverse into the left turn lane. And we don't have volumes high enough in the left turn lanes here at Great Neck to really stack up out of that left turn lane very often. So I think this would be very typical of what we would hope to implement, and the people that use it are very happy with. This is where we went from the negative offset that was on the left, which is very typical, to no offset. This is on Shore Drive. The median was not as wide, so that we could not get as much of an offset as we wanted, or would have been able to on Great Neck anyway. But here, even with that, you can see that you're able to see quite a distance west on Shore Drive, where before that was implemented, you weren't able to see very well at all. So this has been a great improvement in that area also. The top view is the existing view looking on Great Neck Road towards Shore Drive. And if you look here, you'll notice that you're quite a bit off of the through line of traffic over here when you're waiting to turn left. And here we simply photoshopped in a picture where we just stepped over to where the new left turn would actually be, taken the picture from there where you can see, and then placed in the proposed left turn lane. And just like we saw on the other ones, you can now see straight north on Great Neck Road without any view obstruction from oncoming traffic. And these trees here that are a bit of a view obstruction in the existing condition, if you look there, right there, you can see that the trees block some of that oncoming traffic. That's not the case at all with the new configuration. And I did literally step over to where the new left turn would be when I took the photograph. So just kind of to sum up here, the advantages and disadvantages. The advantages is that it increases sight distance for left turning vehicles on Great Neck Road, shortens the crossing distance and the time for vehicles turning from the median. It can enhance invisibility for those crossing into the median, and that was the car that I showed you that was coming off of River Road. And the benefits target those crash types specifically. They give advantages to all of those type crashes. It does not increase other type crashes such as rear ends that you would pick up with a signal, has a low maintenance cost, and the disadvantages, as with the other, is it does involve construction and some time. It still requires drivers to make a judgment call when using the median, and it doesn't substantially reduce the number of conflict points. Now that sounds like an unusual term, but this Nicholas will come up here and explain that to you in just a moment. But if you can see this small slide right here, that's the slide that will be up when she explains conflict points.
All right, there is one other alternative that can be considered for this intersection. There's some pros and cons to this one, like all of them. But this is an intersection we call restricted access. There's different ways you can restrict access. In this particular one, this is Independence and Silverleaf. They were averaging 13 crashes a year that were correctable by a traffic signal. But we explored an alternative option. In this particular case, we restricted to only the left turns off of it. It would not have been an ideal place for a traffic signal even if it was warranted. And then, so your movements off of the side street restricted. Not necessarily saying that's the entire option for River Road, but on the east side, you do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 access points, this one being a right in and out, and this one being signalized. So the east side could potentially have some restriction. I wouldn't want to restrict anything on the River Road or Falcon Crescent side, because they only have 2 access points. So what could be considered if you were going to go with a restricted access is to do right in, right out on the Upper Chelsea Reach. This would essentially make River Road a T intersection, with the exception of some right turn movements, but it would eliminate all the turning movements onto and off of, or left turning movements onto Upper Chelsea and off of Upper Chelsea. What that does is it reduces your conflict points. Conflict points are where potential for you to have a traffic crash. So a full access, there's lots of points. When you have a restricted, it cuts it down to just a couple places. You also gain the sight distance. However, the disadvantage of this is that some of the people on the east side, some of those other access points, are going to have to pick up some of the slack for where these people are no longer turning. So the benefit for the right in, right out would only be 13 versus we were getting 16 off of the left turn, off south left. So the advantage is it minimizes the number of movements utilized in the median, doesn't increase other types of crashes, it reduces conflict points, it is relatively inexpensive to make permanent. So, and it can increase sight distance for the northbound less. And the interesting thing about this one is we can do it temporarily. We can go out there with flexi posts and put them in by the end of the week and try it out and pull them out if it doesn't work. So if an immediate solution is looked at, this could be an option. But again, there are some disadvantages, which is it restricts access to residents on the east side. The permanent installation would require construction, and drivers still have to make a judgment call, but there would be less vehicles there to have to judge. And then I'll bring Rick up for the recommendation.